Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's edition of HR Mentorship and Learning Series. It's a Friday edition special, and we'll be looking at a topic, developing effective strategic management capabilities. Developing effective strategic management capabilities. And our facilitator for tonight is Omolola Fadipe. Omolola Fadipe is currently the HR manager with Sourcing and Produce Limited. She has over 14 years experience that cuts across workforce management, talent acquisition, process engineering, performance management, learning and development, to mention a few of the HR value chain. Prior to joining Sourcing and Produce, Omolola worked at different levels of human resource management in the fast-moving consumer goods FMCG industry, where she managed over 300 employees. Currently, in her pursuit of continuous learning, she is a student with Rome Business School, where she is studying for her master's in international HR management. She is a fellow. She is also a member of the Tara Institute of Human Resource Management and a certified human resource professional. She backs her Bachelor's of Arts in English from the prestigious Olabisi Onabanjo University at Gowoye, Ogun State. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my delight and pleasure to welcome to the first time on this prestigious platform, Omolola. Over to you, you have the floor.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So today we'll be talking about developing effective strategic management capabilities. I want us, as we go on this journey, let's learn how to be better managers, how to be better leaders, and how to build these abilities to do more, even in our various endeavors. So I'll start by talking about leadership. You know, when we are talking about building capabilities, you cannot take away leadership. Leadership is key. As human resources professionals, we have to be good leaders. So let's briefly look at leadership. What is leadership? This is Fashola, a former governor of Lagos State. He said leadership is about saying, how can I interact with people to improve their performance? Give them just enough stretch to keep them motivated and help them realize their potential. You see, this is a question a leader should ask. It's not about leading the people, but how do you interact with these people to improve their performance? If you are a leader, and you should be able to improve the performance of your followers and also give them enough stretch to keep them motivated. If they are not motivated, you won't get the desired result. So how do you stretch them to keep them motivated? And how do you help them realize their potentials? Their potentials is hidden in them, and they need a leader like you to bring out such potentials. Now, what really is leadership? This is Nelson Mandela, and he said the ability to inspire and influence willing and conscious followership. That means before you can be a leader, you must have willing followers and conscious followers. If they are not willing and conscious, you cannot lead them, you cannot influence them, you cannot inspire them, okay? So being a leader, you have to be sure that your followers are willing and they are conscious. So then that moves me to the next slide that says, can leadership really be developed? Can it be developed? Well, I say it depends. It depends on the attitude of the individual. It depends on how prepared they are to accept other people's view and whether they are open to feedback. So before you can be a leader, your feedback is very important. You must be open to feedback. If you are not open to feedback, you can't be a leader. You must be prepared to accept other people's view as valid. You cannot be always right. If you're always right, you are not there. And I said leadership is connecting what I do to what I have, to those I serve. There must be a connection. If there is no connection between you and the people you are serving, you are not leading. So before you can say you are a leader, you must be able to bring that connection. The connection must be in place. And you are not a leader if no one is following you. So if you are a lone ranger, if you feel that I know all, I can do all, no one is following you, you are not a leader. So let's talk about the strategy. You know, we are talking about how to build these capabilities. So we need to put some strategy in place. And from the dictionary, strategy is an elaborate and systematic plan of action. That is how the dictionary defines strategy. And then I have put some subjects here for us to look at what a leader should do and what a manager does. So you'll be able to differentiate your role now, whether you are a leader or you are a manager. So if you are a leader, your essence will be to change, while a manager is to stabilize. You want to see that everything is stabilized within the workplace. But a leader is able to bring about positive change to the workplace. Focus is leading people. As a leader, your focus is to lead people, while the manager is to manage the work. Just manage the work and make sure that everything goes on right. As a leader, you must have followers, while a manager have subordinates. So begin to look at all these highlights and begin to look at your role. Are you a leader or you are a manager? You know, most of us are HR managers. Are we just managing as human resources, or just managing the workforce, or we are really leading the people? So we need to transcend from managing people to leading people. And a leader is a long-term journey. It is not something that happens overnight, while a manager is short-time. You work with certain objectives, and once they are achieved, you are done. But as a leader, it's a long-term journey, something you do for a long time. A leader must have vision, because the vision you have is what your followers will believe in and they will follow. If you don't have a vision, you can't be a leader. And then a manager have objectives. He has objectives. This is what I need to do, and I need to get it done. A leader sets direction. A leader facilitates. A leader has a personal charisma. He has a good heart. He's passionate. He's proactive. Can sell. You can tell people. You can make people do what they don't want to do ordinarily. You know, a leader breaks bounds, breaks barriers. He strives. He takes. He uses. You know, let me talk about risk. You know, a leader takes risk, while a manager will minimize risk. So if you cannot take risk, you are not yet a leader. A leader also uses conflicts. You use it to get results. You use it to analyze and see how to prevent and make things better, while a manager will avoid it at all costs. I don't want conflict. I don't want trouble. You run away from trouble. Just do your work as it is written. The procedures and processes, just follow them, and then you are out of it. But a leader will take the risk and he will use conflict as an advantage. You see, a leader sets direction. He is always having a new path to show to the people, while the manager is to work on the existing trends that has been on. A leader gives, a manager takes. A leader takes the blame, and then the manager blames the others. He blames the followers. He blames the subordinates. Now, let me talk about blame taking before I move on. You know, most times in my previous experience, we have a manager that whenever anything goes wrong in his department, he will just pick out the person that does that commits the havoc or allow the error. We will bring the person out and say, HR, this guy has done this. Please give him query. I want you to give him suspension. I want you to do this. And then it took us a whole lot of energy to say, young man, when there is a problem in your department, as a leader, you have to take ownership. You know, he does not know how to take ownership. He's quick to point out the defaulter, and then he wants to punish the person. Well, we have to reorientate in that as a leader, you must take ownership. You must take ownership of both the good and the bad. You cannot say, when it is good, you get the applause, and when it is bad, you are pointing the finger. So as a leader, you must be able to take blame, while a manager will just pass the blame to others. So I move on to say leadership. Leadership is transformational. it has a lot of widespread changes to a business or an organization. So it is something that has a step-by-step approach, and it requires long-term strategic planning. You have to put a lot of strategies in place to achieve it. And you must have clear objectives. If you don't have objectives, you are just a manager. You must have your clear objectives. Your vision must be clear. You must know, this is what I want to do. This is why I'm doing it. In the next 5 years, this is where I want to be. In the next 10 years, this is what I would have achieved. If you don't have those clear visions set in place, you are not yet on your leadership journey. And a leader must lead by example. You must walk the walk while others follow you. You must be an exemplary leader. Someone that people can look up to and say, wow, this is our boss. Not people seeing you and they feel, let me just be careful because I don't know what will happen. You must lead by example, and you must be efficient about your systems and processes. Efficiency is key. If you don't have the knowledge of your system and processes, you are not a leader. Most times, HR practitioners, let me say before now, they are just administrators. But in this era, we have to step up our game from just being administrators to managing systems and processes. We must understand these systems very well and the processes. Then I have a lesson here. A turkey was chatting with a bull. He said, I would love to be able to get to the top of the tree, sign the turkey, but I haven't got the energy. The bull said, well, why don't you nibble on some of my droppings? They are packed with nutrients. And the turkey looked at it and saw it as a good offer. So he said, yeah, I found it actually, and gave him enough strength to reach the first branch of the tree. And what happens? The next day, after 80 more dunks, he reached the second branch. Of course, he wouldn't give up. Finally, after a fortnight, there he was, proudly perched at the top of a tree. And what happens there? A farmer spotted the turkey, who promptly shot the turkey out of the tree. So he got there with the nibble of the bull. Bullshit took him up, but what happens? The moral of the story is bullshit might get you to the top, but it won't keep you there. So as leaders, you have to follow these efficient systems. You have to follow the processes. You cannot jump ladder. If you try to jump any ladder, you may end up like the turkey. Bullshit can actually take you to the top. It will never take you there. So I'm talking about leadership effectiveness. Locating your source of influence. Your source of influence is very, very key. And if you look at the first position is your rights. At that time, you are looking at your right. This is what I'm entitled to. This is what I should get. But when you get to the next level, it is permission. That is relationships. You have to build relationships, have your connections. Because when you are going to the top, you are going to be needing this connection. So you have to build your connection at the second stage. At the third stage, you have to have results. By now, you should be having your results, what to show for what you have been doing. And the first stage is the stage of reproduction. When you have results, you need to bring in others to learn, build others, develop others to be leaders like you. You must have followers. And that is when you get to the priesthood, which is the influence of respect. You earn the respect. People look at you and they respect you for who you are. They respect you for your accomplishments. They respect you for your results because you have taken time to climb the ladder systematically, step by step, without jumping any of the steps. So what makes organizational success? I said, one, not by comparing it to others, but rather with its own purpose and vision. Like I mentioned earlier, vision is very key. So you are not competing with anybody. You are only looking at what you have drawn, whether you are following it, whether you are fulfilling it. That is what you are doing. You are not comparing with anybody. There must be clarity where it is. This vision, where am I at this stage? Where is it going to? And how do I get to where I want it to get to? If you don't map out all these processes, you are not yet a leader. You have to put all these things in place before you can ask people to follow you, before you can ask people to come and learn and be with you. So corporate vision and mission statements come as a result of the desire of an organization to be successful. The desire for success is what makes you to have everything laid down, your vision laid down, spelled out, and you understand, you have a clarity, you have a clear vision of where it's going. So I'm talking about business survival features. And I've put in these 5 parameters. I said vision plus skill plus incentive plus resources plus action plan will give you change. Now, if vision is missing in these parameters, you have confusion. If you have the skills, you have the resources, and you don't have a vision, it is confusion, because you will go to the north, you will go to the south. If somebody say, it is happening there, you are there. Oh, let's try this, you want to try it. But when you have a vision, you stick to your goal, you follow it, and you'll be able to. And when you don't have any skill or the right skill, anxiety, you must have the right skill set before you can say, I am leading people. If you don't have the right skill set, be anxiety, people will outshine you. You will not be confident enough in what you are doing. And when incentive is missing, all right. So when resources is not there, it's frustration. And the last one is when there is no action, there is no action plan. You have your vision, you have your skills, you have your incentive and resources, and you don't have any action plan. It is a false start. You will not go far with this. All right. So let's go to skills. The skills managers must have. You must have a writing skill. You must be able to write. You must have verbal skills. You must have technical skills. Now, when we talk about technical skills, you may not have all the technical skills that you need in all the departments, but you must have an idea of a little dose of all, so that you are not lost in between at any point. And then you must have computer skills. We are in the world of computer literacy. So everybody must have computer skills. Then you must have human relation skills. As a manager, if you cannot relate well with people, if you don't have emotional intelligence, you will not be a good leader. And time management skills, you'll be able to manage your time. And all these skills I've put into 3 categories. The first one is conceptual skills, human relation skills, and technical skills. All these 3 skills, they are key for you as a leader. And then from the writings of Peter Drucker, I have brought out this illustration. He said, every organization operates on a theory of business. And what is the theory of business? The first one is what its business is. The next one is what is the objective? And how do you define the results? Who are your customers? And what customers are you looking for? Is it the one of value or the one you pay for? So if you want to be a leader, you have to put all this strategy in place. You must know what the business wants to do. You must know the objectives of the business. You must be able to define results. When we are at this level, this is the result we will achieve. This is the result we must achieve. The result has to be defined. And then you must know who your customers are. And then value is very important. Customers will pay for value. You must be able to give value. Then, same Peter Drucker said, strategy converts the theory of business into performance. So, like what I said in this slide, all this, the objectives, defining the result, who your customers are, they are the strategy that you need to put in place for your business to perform. So if those strategies are not in place, you are not yet set to get the best performance. And why this subject is important is that, what subject are we talking about? We're talking about strategy. So the ability to create, communicate, and stick to an effective strategy is a critical leadership skill. I take that again. The ability to create, communicate, and stick to an effective strategy. That means you are sure of what you want to do. You are very sure of it. And that will give you a good critical leadership skill. And so often, strategy is misunderstood or poorly applied in business today. It is poorly applied. Strategy is about choices. You can't be all things to all people. You have to be sure of what you want to do, who you want to be, and follow it. At every point in time, you will meet different people that have different choices. You cannot jump everywhere. You have to stick to your original plan and make sure you achieve it. This is by Michael Porter. He's a professor and an author. So the essence of strategy is that you must set limits on what you are trying to accomplish. If you don't set a limit, you would not even know when you are achieving results or not. So there must be limit to what you are trying to accomplish. And with a company without a strategy is willing to try anything. That is why you see some people, they want to do this, they want to do that. Even as individuals, sometimes you see somebody is an accountant, at the same time is going for human resources, at the same time is going for IT management. You need to understand what you want to do and follow it. If people don't understand how a company is supposed to be different, how it creates value compared to its rivals, to its competitors, then how can they possibly make all the myriad of choices they have to make? You'll be able to make choices. You will not even know which choice to make, because when your competitor is doing this, you want to do it. When your competitor is doing that, you want to do it. You must stick to your original plan and make sure you achieve results. So every salesman has to know the strategy. Otherwise, they won't know who to call on. Every engineer has to understand it, or she won't know what to build. The best CEOs I know are teachers, and at the core of what they teach is strategy. So before you can be a leader, strategy is key, very key. All right. And almost 25% of businesses don't communicate their company strategy to employees. They don't communicate their strategies. And when you want to lead people, they should know what you are doing. You must be able to put these processes in place. You must be able to define this vision so that they know what they are working with. In my organization, we have a very open door policy where everyone is carried along. No one is left behind. Once you are left behind, you are not a culture fit. You cannot be left behind. We carry everybody along. So they must know the strategy and how to work it out. This is another saying by Michael Porter. He says strategy is about choices. You cannot be all things to all manner of people. The essence of strategy is that you must set limits on what you are trying to accomplish. And a company without a strategy is willing to try anything. People need to understand how a company is different from others or creates value compared to its rivals or competitors. Strategy is about making a choice to be different. You are making a choice to be different. And we can, in fact, link Porter's position on strategy to the sticky duct tape. A company needs to stick its strategy on its people and for them to believe in it and live it. If your people don't know what you are doing, they cannot follow you. Even when they follow you, they don't care. They will not take ownership. They will not take responsibility. So they must know, they must live it, they must believe in it. And if the strategy don't get changed often, just like the duct tape, it will stick well. If today you are not saying this is what we are doing, tomorrow you are changing the process again. The process has to be written, has to be clear, and then it has to be consistent. When it is consistent, the people understand it, they follow it. But if we change our strategy at every little excuse, now the people, let's say they are now making Five Alive in pink color. It's no longer orange, it's pink. And then you feel that, oh, let me also make my juice pink. You don't know why Five Alive is changing to pink color. You have to focus on what you have laid down. And after some time, like the duct tape, it stops seeking on our employees and other stakeholders. So it just flows naturally. It flows naturally. But if it is not written, if it's not consistent, they will, just like the stock tape, it will no longer stick and people will just be lost. So more than you think, it is no secret that our business world is changing as we speak and will change even more in days, weeks, months, and years to come. And our job as leaders is to navigate our businesses and our fellow employees through changes. We have to make it easy for them to adapt to these changes. Then we come to the topic, what is management? The field of knowledge that seeks to systematically understand why and how men work together to accomplish objectives and to make this corporate system more useful to mankind. Let me take it again. It said the field of knowledge that seeks to systematically understand why and how men work together to accomplish objectives and to make these cooperative systems more useful to mankind. This is said by Peter Bullock. And then the process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling resources. I want you to look at it. You must be able to plan, organize, lead the people, and you must be able to manage your resources to achieve stated organizational goals. And you must also, this is said by Stoner. And Rosemary Stewart said, deciding what should be done and then getting other people to do it. We are talking about management now. Management. Deciding what should be done and getting other people to do it. So vision is key. At every point, every stage, we talk about vision. Now, what is your responsibility as a manager? The individual responsibility for achieving organizational objectives through efficient and effective utilization of resources. That means the manager makes use of the available resources. And then the manager's resources is human, that is human capital, financial, physical, and informational. You must have the information, you must have the financial capabilities, and you must have human resources. For that is what you have as your own resources as a manager. And for performance, is a means of evaluating how effective and efficiently a manager uses these resources to achieve objectives. So we are talking about the responsibility of a manager. So you must be able to utilize resources, you must make use of your resources, and you must be able to use these resources to achieve your objectives. Until you are able to do that, you are not yet a leader. And then what makes a successful manager? Said management qualities. You must be able to manage the people with integrity. You must be industrious and the ability to get along with people. If you can't get along with people, you can't be a leader. You must be able to get along with your people. And when we talk about management skills, we talked about the technical part of it initially, we talked about the human capital, and then communication is key. People must be carried along. You must be able to communicate with the people in a way that they understand. They understand the vision, there's clarity, and the concepts and decision-making skills is also very key. So what do managers do in management functions now? Like I've said earlier, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. You have to set the objectives to determine in advance how exactly the objectives will be met. You must know how you want to meet up with these objectives that you have set. And then you have to delegate and coordinate the tasks in such a way that you allocate resources to achieve the objectives. You must be able to allocate the resources so to achieve the set objectives. And then you must be able to influence the people to work and to achieve these set objectives. And then you have to be able to control, establish and implement mechanisms to ensure that objectives are met. You have to establish these mechanisms, these systems, to make sure that the set objectives are met. Management roles. You set expectation on how one will behave in a given situation. So when somebody is not behaving the way he should, you know already, and you're able to correct it. This is what you should do. This is how you should react. This is not acceptable. And then management roles, the categories. The first one is interpersonal. You have to be a leader. You have to be able to liaise with others. You have to be able to monitor, disseminate information. You have to be a spokesperson. If you can't be a spokesperson, you are not yet there. And you have to be able to make decisions. As an entrepreneur, you have to be a disturbance handler. That is, nobody can mess things up. You have to be able to handle it. You have to also be able to allocate the resources and be able to negotiate. All these things are key in management roles. If you cannot allocate, you can't negotiate, you can't make decisions. You cannot undo disruptions. You are not yet set. And then difference. We have different managers. So let us see the 3 levels of management. We have the top managers. They are the CEO, the president, vice president, director, depending on what you call them. And then we have the middle managers. They are sales managers, branch managers, and department heads. Then we have first line managers, crew leader, supervisor, head nurse, or office manager. Then we have non-management operative employees. Those are the workers in the organization who are supervised by first line managers, maybe your factory workers and the likes. Okay, so let's look at the 10 principles of classical management. So before you can talk about management, you must be able to divide the work. Division of work is key. Okay, this is what HR should do. This is what the COO should do. This is what the lead PM should do. You must be able to divide the work. And then unity of command is very important. If there is no unity of command, then everybody will go at different directions. Authority and responsibility. When you are given authority, you must take ownership of it. You must be responsible for it. The scalar chain of communication, limited span of control, staff relationship, use of rules and procedures, written communication, impartiality is key, and technocracy. You can't be partial as a leader. For you to be a manager, a good manager, you cannot be partial. And then according to R.S. Stewart, in her book, The Art of Management, she defined management simply as deciding what to do and getting others to do it. So building your capabilities in management, you must decide what you want to do through your vision, through your skills, through your technical ability, your conceptual ability, and getting others to do it. Okay, so what are the management functions? This is just a recap of what I have said earlier. This is planning, organizing, staffing, controlling, decision-making, and leadership. You're able to allocate and delegate tasks to different departments, different persons, and you are doing it correctly. No mix-up and all of that. So when you are performing managerial functions, I say, what is management? What do manager do? And what management really is? So the first one, you plan, you organize, you staff, you coordinate and control. But the manager gets work accomplished through others. You don't do it yourself. You get others to do it. And then management is, you read 16%, writing, listening, speaking. You know, it is very key. Especially listening. You see that listening is the highest in this category. If you cannot listen, you can't be a leader. You must have a listening ear. If you don't have the natural listening ability, you need to build it. You need to work on it. And then the management function. This is just an elaboration of what I have said earlier. When you plan, you decide the objectives and to pursue how to achieve the objectives. When you organize, you are grouping and assigning activities and providing authority at the organizational stage. And at staffing stage, you determine the labor that you need. You select, you recruit, you deploy, appraise, and train the people that would actually carry out this authority that you have put in place. And then you're able to give direction, channeling human behavior and supervising them. You have to channel the human behavior and also supervise them. And then you have to allocate resources, measuring the achievement and cause for deviation from achieving set goals. That is also very important, controlling. All right. Then we have talked about these management skills earlier. talk about the conceptual skills, human relation skills, and the technical skills. So for effective performance, you need these skills to be intact. It is not negotiable. So this is further explaining how the conceptual skills, you have to plan, be able to make decisions, you have to be able to organize, control, appraise, and train. And at human relation level, you must be able to measure performance. You have to put teamwork in place. Motivation requires understanding people and working with them. You have to motivate them. And how do you motivate them? You need to understand them and how to work with them. And the technical skills is to perform the mechanisms of the job, and important for effective management of people. And then this is the roadmap. Level of skills required for management practice. So at the top level, your concepts must be, if you don't have the concept, you can't be a top management. So you must have the concept, you have the vision, you are the one setting the pace. And human relation, see, you have to have
Hello, ma'am. Kindly continue your presentation, ma'am.
all right. Okay, so the management level, the concept skill is lower, the human relation skill should be broader, and the technical skill should be broader. And as supervisory management skill, the concept is very low, while your human relation has to be so broad, and the technical ability must be sufficient. So as top leaders, we must have the concepts, the human relations, and the technical skills. It is very key and important. And that brings me to the end of the presentation. Questions or comments?
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was quite enriching, enlightening. I appreciate the multiple perspective and dynamics. Very, very insightful session. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any contribution, want to share an experience, or you have a question for our facilitator for tonight, you can please quickly raise your hand and we'll unmute you, grant you permission to speak. Or if you want to use the chat box, now is the time to do so. And if you also like us to call it a wrap, I'm also more than excited to also do that. So if you don't have a question, I'm going to do something. Let's just appreciate our facilitator for tonight. I also unmute us so that we can say thank you to our facilitator. So you can unmute to say thank you. Thank you to Omolola, who has done justice to this topic tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 1 minute to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. The session was truly insightful.
Thank you very much. We appreciate
it. Learned so much. It was profound.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much, man. And God bless you.
Thank you so much. We can also see the feedback on the chat box. Sharon says, thank you so much. Very insightful. I can also see from Mohammed Lawal, a very educative presentation. Well done, madam. Okay, I'll take one more from the chat box. Good work, Omolola. Thank you. From Abib Ular Abdul. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you on behalf of everyone who has joined tonight and everyone who will watch this session, this recording. We'd like to appreciate you sincerely. Thank you for your time, your effort, your intellect, and your passion. We appreciate you. Please do enjoy the rest of your weekend, and warm regards to yours. Good night, everyone. We call it now.